Other interesting business news, you have the Honda and Nissan merger off, with Foxconn telling Nissan we just want to be friends. Because, yeah, no one really wants to own Nissan. Mm, I mean, I guess if I was a trillionaire and I wanted to lose money, just as a passion project, I'd buy it just to make the GTR with the stick shift, but I don't think anyone's silly enough to do that. Now, this comes to us thanks to Motor1.com, specifically Anthony, who's a writer over there. And they say, quote, Foxconn wants to work with Nissan, not acquire it. Which, if you don't know, Foxconn is perhaps the probably number one technology manufacturer on the planet. They're the most famously known as being a subcontractor for companies like Apple, as well as Dell and Hewlett Packard, where those manufacturers will design it in California, but it'll be made usually in China, or as Trump would say, China or India, at one of the Foxconn plants. I mean, and they also make some of the components in it as well. So, I mean, definitely don't recommend for like a home experiment, but well, if you ever have some extra iPhone or extra electronic lying around, fun fact, if you take it apart, you'll see a lot of the Foxconn name stamped on the components. Now, they also say that reports suggest Nissan is looking for a new suitor, which, again, I'm not sure anyone who would want them. They do have the Nissan Z, which is I mean, it's the only turbocharged V6 or twin turbocharged V6 stick shift on the market, which is quite sad. And a great track toy, from what I'm told. I've seen one. They claim they sell more. They claim they just passed Supra in terms of number of units sold. I probably see 38 Supra. Oh, I must have a little biased in terms of my location. I'm relatively near to the Toyota headquarters in North America, but I've probably seen 30, okay, like 20 Supras a month. And like I've seen one Nissan Z in a year. It was a nice little Nissan Z. It was a nice old couple outside a grocery store. But nevertheless, they say, quote, we should know more about the state of Honda and Nissan merger by the announcements, but it looks like their partnership is coming to a demise. However, Foxconn could serve as a potential lifeline to the company needs, except the Taiwanese electronics manufacturer isn't interested in acquiring the struggling automaker, which would better jive with Nissan's needs. I'm sorry, you might be an eyesore, but here's a Nissan on the screen. Ew. Disgusting looking SUV, which, again, it makes sense. Foxconn doesn't really, not to be pejorative, they really don't own a lot in terms of their own brands. They're known for being a subcontractor, so you hire them to make your stuff. So, I mean, there's been a lot of rumors. I think they bought out one TV company decades ago, and there's a time where they're going to assemble them in America, but that fell through at the last minute. So I'm not too surprised. Now, they say, quote, while Foxconn isn't interested in buying a stake in Nissan, which who would, it's also not opposed to it if there's a operational need. It's going to Lou, and Foxconn makes an assortment of electronics, including the Apple iPhone. It wouldn't be the first time company would venture into EVs. They also know that the Chinese phone maker Xiaomi launched in the SU7 in 2024. Details about the rumored breakup of the Honda-Nissan deal, which ex-Nissan CEO Carlos Phone called a, quote, desperate move, continued to emerge. According to another Reuters report, Nissan wanted nearly equal treatment in discussions, which, again, I like the Nissan Z. It is a fun, cool sports car. If I won the lottery, I'd probably buy one. But, I mean, Nissan is a fifth of like the revenue and performance of Honda, and probably 1/1000th of the build quality and reliability. And yet they want to be treated as equal, not as, being bought out. Yeah, that's never going to happen. Now, they say that Honda wanted Nissan to cut more staff, as well as being the parent company. Honda also allegedly revised the deal's terms to make Nissan the subsidiary, believing that Nissan wasn't sufficiently worried about its struggles. A partner like Foxconn would allow Nissan to retain its independence, but the automaker is looking at some significant hurdles. Last year, the automaker cut its profits forecast by nearly 70%. Jeez Louise. I'm sorry, I'm another eyesore. There's another Nissan product. Ugh. Frontier. I have one friend who has a Nissan Titan. He loves that thing. It rides pretty good, but yeah, they just really didn't get a lot of traction in North America in terms of a real market share of trucks. It's one of the most competitive segments to get into as well. They say that they also had to eliminate 9,000 jobs, reduce its global production capability, and sold a portion of its stake to Mitsubishi, which, how the hell they have more than $18 in their bank account is beyond me. I mean, Mitsubishi used to be one of the best companies out there, making the Lancer Evo, the Eclipse, the cool sports coupe from the Fast and Furious films. Now the Eclipse is an anemic SUV crossover, and you see like a Mitsubishi sad-looking dealership like once per state. Yeah, that's just say Mitsubishi's they've it's the golden years for them well behind them. They also note that the automakers also asked its dealers to sell vehicles at a loss while maintaining scale back, really, while scaling back Rogue production, its best-selling model in America by a wide margin, the country's ninth best-selling vehicle overall last year. Sales of the, yeah, I was going to say, dealers, you want them to sell it at a loss? Yeah, dealers are, they're going to love that. Wow. Again, dealers aren't paid anything by the manufacturer most often than not. Every once in a while, they'll give them like a gift card. They sell it like a sales spiff. But again, they're independent. It's an independent business, and they make their money off selling the vehicles, as well as financing, accessories, and all the undercoating, all that other kind of stuff. They note that sales of the popular crossovers were down 9.6% last year in the United States, but the brand's overall sales went up 3.5%. The Versa and Sentra, the brand's two cheapest models, saw sales jump 71.9% and 39.8% year over year, respectively. But those didn't rake in the huge profits needed to face declining global sales, rising costs, increased competition, and an uncertain future. Which, yeah, that's not going to be enough to turn that company around. I mean, don't get me wrong, Nissan, in terms of global achievements or, historics, they've done some cool things. I'm not a fan of the Nissan Leaf, but that was pretty revolutionary to have a mass-produced EV. Besides Tesla, again, that was pretty unique. And again, the 350Z was awesome. The 370Z was pretty good. And the 400Z looks great. A lot of part sharing, but nevertheless, it's cool they make a sports car, even with all the troubles out there. But yeah, I just don't see who's going to come in. I mean, usually there's a reason for a company to buy another company. That's why it happens. But like, I don't know anyone who's going to swing in at the final hour and be like, Nissan, we like them. They'll be a great addition to our portfolio. What is the value add of it? They really don't have a cult following. People don't buy Nissans necessarily because they love them. They buy them because they have a pulse. Nissan Credit is famous for giving out terrible, well, I should say, inappropriate loans that have a high propensity of not being paid. It's good for the consumers in terms of if you have a pulse, you can get a Nissan thanks to the credit division. But again, they make a couple of vehicles, but after, especially the CVT transmission issue, which I would argue erased any modicum of reputation for reliability they've had pretty much forever, it's been a brand most people just walk away from, and they avoid the play because they're worried about reliability. Most of them depreciate like a rock. No, don't get me wrong. The GTR was a cool feat of engineering, but even that, they really didn't change much year over year. They just charge more and more money for it. And they never come out, they never come out with a version with a third pedal, also known as a manual transmission. I know that's a minority of users these days, but for the enthusiast alone, they would have been worth it. And they would have sold a few more units. Toyota listened to the room. They listened to the consumers. They did make the Supra eventually with a third pedal. Again, the people had to clamor for it for a while, but give Toyota credit. They did the research development, and they actually got that third pedal, also known as the manual transmission, for the newest Supra. So we'll see what happens with Nissan. Again, it's sad because a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs. Hopefully they're able to find gainful employment and with the competitors of Nissan. But let me know in the comments. I don't see a compelling reason to buy out Nissan or even to partner with them. And it sucks because, again, you want competition. I mean, that's how the best results are. It's the beauty of capitalism. The best results through the service. You want a lot of options. And again, the GTR is a beautiful handcrafted, piece of machinery. Those engines are awesome. But I don't see them with so much competition surviving the next couple of years. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, first live stream Q&A is going to be Saturday, February 22nd, 6 p.m. Texas time, or some people call it Central Time. Thank you again for taking the time to tune in. Don't forget to take the time to like, subscribe, and comment. Actually, give me a thumbs up, or comment. Let me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.